most people, competing in a triathlon feels completely out of reach, but our first guest is not only competing, she is doing it with MS and a pacemaker. Here to share her inspiring story, we welcome Ashley Norton. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate
You are very impressive and busy.
Yes.
You don't stop moving, literally.
Literally.
So take me back to your teen years, because you started a commitment to health and fitness really early in your life.
Yes. I was about 16, 17 years old, and I was always very heavy set. I was a golfer. I was very active. I didn't know I had some medical conditions, and I just made a decision to get up, and I lost 160 pounds in a very short amount of time by exercise and food. And I think that's really when I fell in love with being an athlete. I was already an athlete, but that's when it really kicked into gear.
Yeah, and then kind of changed the course of your life as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. The golf kind of dissipated. It was so many years, but I definitely gunned into, I was never a swimmer. That's why the story's so, I never swam, I never biked, I never ran this intensely. So it's a whole new game for me now.
So fast forward to your MS diagnosis, because your daughter was just very young at that time?
Yeah, she was about 2 or 3 years old, and I woke up one day and I couldn't move at all from head to toe. I was completely debilitated. I could scream, and I did. And the fire department came and kicked my door down. I was taken to a hospital for months, and they did spinal taps, they did everything. They tried to figure out what was wrong, and they called it autoimmune. Unfortunately, because of the pacemaker, they didn't scan the top of my brain. So they saw the lesions on my spine, and they sent me home a few months later. And then the next day, the same thing happened. We went to UW. That time, they did scan my brain, and they came in finally and said, "I'm sorry, this is multiple sclerosis. We missed 7 lesions in your brain." I was incredibly naive to what that meant for the rest of my life.
Right.
It was, my mom knew. Obviously, she was devastated. But for me, I think that God gave me gifts, MS, heart issues, to be doing this, to be an advocate for invisible disabilities, to start breaking records, to start challenging. To be honest with you, this Ironman was very hard, Ironman Texas, to get in with, because they didn't know where to put me. They wanted to categorize me as a hand cycler because my bike is so low, because we're riding now revolutionary new bikes for people. But I'm not an able body on a 2-wheel bike.
Sure.
So it's a lot of push and pull, but gotta kind of push a little bit in order to get across the finish line.
Well, you're forging your own new path.
Yeah, for everybody else.
How did triathlons even come into the picture after you had this probably very scary diagnosis? How do you go from that to, oh, I'm gonna start doing Ironmans now?
I was at a store with my daughter, and one day I just collapsed. I didn't know my pacemaker had been out for about a week. My heart didn't stop. My heart never has stopped, but it goes down to about a 10.
Wow.
I woke up and they had done an emergency replacement. I had never heard of Ironman come a year and a half ago, and I saw it on the TV in the recovery room. And for me, it was my Holy Spirit moment. It kept bombarding me within 3 days of leaving, and I had no clue it was going to be down in Maple Valley at my house. And I went, and I still had a patch on my heart, and my arm was in my sling.
Wow.
And I made that on my ironheartwoman.com website. You see that video of me making that declaration that I'm going to do a half Ironman and a full Ironman. Mind you, I had no clue what that meant. No clue. But I knew that something was happening. It was like something was going on. And within a year, we crossed finish lines, and then we were invited to the World Championship. I got the phone call 3 months before from the Ironman Foundation, and now we've collaborated and we went, and it's just extraordinary what's happening.
So take me to that event in Kona, because it's just a huge thing. I think if you know or maybe aren't super involved with the Ironman organization and sort of the lore of it, we know that's a huge race and a huge opportunity that you got to go this past year.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's a huge opportunity for this inclusion revolution that's happening, and specifically in Ironman. You see a lot of things like Chris Nikic, things of that nature, these Down syndrome, autism, Adrian Bunn, but nobody really with my conditions and being able to ride this type of bike. So when we got invited to Kona, it was, how do we train? How do we get her across the finish line? It's not even just the equipment, it's my body. Heat is the worst thing you can do in stress for somebody with MS. And I was putting I'm 35 hours a week training, you know, so I trained with heaters. We trained, everything was different. There's no roadmap, we're just building it. And when we got there, it was the most, I had no idea, like, cause it happened so fast, so I had no idea what was happening. I just knew that I was going. And it wasn't until after the race that people messaged me and they said, oh my God, you were that girl on that bike, thank you. Even the competitors, the pros, they're like, you made me want to keep going.
Yeah.
I have an able body and I wanted to give up. And then I saw you climbing Haviv, you know? And I was like, there's no way I'm giving up.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's been extraordinary. And now we have the bike, and that was
Tell
a huge
me about
thing.
this. We've got some special equipment here in studio. Tell me about this bike.
So this is a recumbent trike. It is the new revolutionary way for people with stability issues to ride in Ironmans. We are trying to get the Olympics, the Triathlete, to accept this bike as well. It's incredible. It wasn't the bike that I rode in Kona. I rode a green speed recumbent trike, which nobody's ever done before, and we made a Guinness Book World Record on that bike course.
How incredible!
Yeah, so that was awesome. I didn't even know when I got there nobody's tried. When I was done, it was actually Bob Babbitt from Challenge Athletes for All, and he's like, yeah, I don't think anybody's ever, because he knows all the adaptive, he's like, I don't think anybody's ever tried, you know, let alone completed it, so congratulations.
But you were kind of like, why wouldn't I? Of course I'm going to do this.
Well, I had to figure out a way. Like, I had to ride with the best.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to get on something.
That's incredible.
So I figured it was appropriate, and I didn't know it wasn't. But this is going to be our new way of, like, and we're fast. We're getting,
You're, again, forging a path for others to follow. So tell me about where you are in your health journey now. What does your MS look like day to day and month to month? I know it's different for everybody.
Yeah. It comes and goes. You know, like the other day I had a really bad flare up and I had to go get steroids, and like my eyes been twitching, you know, almost didn't show up this morning, not because I couldn't or wouldn't, it's because my eye was twitching and I was concerned about that. It's just, you know, stress is the worst thing for MS. It is. It's stress and heat. But I believe that, you know, food and health and exercise is keeping me alive, let alone walking. And I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
are there other records that you're chasing after now, even as you're already a world record holder? Yeah,
Kona opened up doors that I don't even think they knew existed. Team USA came up to me and they asked me if I ever considered doing the paratriathlon, paracycling, a lot of things. You know, I'm gonna run from Seattle to Portland and make all routes, because everything goes. I have a nonprofit, Grace Global. Everything we're trying to do is we're trying to filter into people that need help.
Right.
I mean, on my birthday, I ran an undisclosed amount of miles in 26-degree weather just to raise money for a woman who needed her medical bills paid. People that need wheelchairs, they need ramps. These are everyday things that are not be allotted to these people that are suffering. So every race I dedicate to someone that needs something. So when you come to IronHeartWoman.com, when you support us getting there, when we need people, we need donors. Yeah. You know, we need board members, we need all of that.
And you're showing such strength and resiliency to your daughter. Yeah. What's it like for you to set that example for her?
Oh, well, I think she teaches me more than I'll ever teach her. She's the most incredible person I've ever met. And when I look at her, I remember coming down that chute in Kona, and it was so hard. It was the hardest day of my life. And I saw her, and she was just the happiest ever. Mommy, that was it for me. Yeah. That's when I knew, you know, and she said, you're so courageous, Mom. You're the most courageous person I ever met. So she brings me a lot of joy. She keeps me going. You know, there's days where, like, you know, I don't have anybody to help me. And how we got ready for Kona is we'd find a playground appropriate, and I would run 10 to 15 miles around the playground until I was done training. I mean, she'll sit at pools at 5 in the morning. I mean, it's whatever it's going to take, and she understands that it's for other people.
Making it happen. Mom's a professional athlete.
Oh, yeah,
now.
moms are the best.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you. So inspiring. I'm so happy we got to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll have more on our website at KATU.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.